switch the channel when she got an idea. I know what I'll do. I'll dye my feathers a different color, she said. She found some dye in the cupboard that her mother said she could have. However, she did not know very much about dyeing feathers. After mixing it up really well, she sprinkled the dye all over her purple feathers. Then she looked in the mirror. Oh no, my purple feathers! They're covered in big red and yellow polka dots. This isn't good. Other chickens will surely laugh at me even more. She was frantic. Poor little Purple. Luckily, the dye was just temporary, and after only a few million washings, little Purple was able to get all the big red and yellow polka dots out of her feathers. Little Purple got another idea. She would make an outfit. It would be a full-size bodysuit. She would put it on over her feathers, and no one could see those unusual purple feathers of hers anymore. And then they would surely be her friend. She headed to the fabric shop. It was right next to the theater where huge colorful posters announced the soon coming of Mr. Fancy's big play. It was a very busy place. Stagehands were constantly going in and out. Little Purple hurried past, but soon she would have her full-size bodysuit. Purple went into the fabric shop. That was a busy place too. She chose a light brown colored material because it matched perfectly with the color of all the other chicken's feathers, and of course there was plenty of that color in stock. Then she waited in a long line at the checkout counter. Should I be showing you the picture? Sorry. Then she waited in a long line at the checkout counter because the clerks were all busy helping the Mr. Fancy's costume designers order yards and yards of colorful material. When Purple finally got home, she started right away to work on the suit. Since she had never had any sewing lessons, it was not easy to stitch all the right pieces together. Sometimes she even stuck herself with the needle. Ouch, that hurt. There she is, sewing the suit. After she finished, she put it on. But, let's see what happened. When Purple tried to fluff up her feathers, they were all smushed down and underneath the suit. And it was hot, and it was itchy, and it was also very hard to keep the feathers tucked in. It was not working out. Okay, coming. But worst of all, everyone still laughed at her. She guessed it was because they could tell that she was just wearing a dumb old suit over her purple feathers. Oh no, this will never do. Yeah, they were still laughing at her. So she took off the suit and she put it in the bottom of her closet. She was embarrassed having spent her whole allowance on this dumb suit that she'd never wear again. And there it is in the closet at the bottom. Poor little Purple. Poor little Purple. She was so sad and she was running out of ideas. What to do about her feathers? If she ran away, she'd been told that there were many dangers out there like snakes, which she hated, and foxes that were always hanging around looking for a nice chicken to take home for supper. She shuddered to think of it. There she is with all her ideas thinking, think. So, what happened? No, she couldn't run away. So she stayed in her room and she cried and cried. Then little Purple heard a knock on the door. In came her brothers and sisters with milk and cookies to cheer her up. They told her that someone had come to see her. To see her? No one ever came to see her anymore. There they are bringing the cookies.
And milk.
And milk. Do not forget the milk. So little Purple went downstairs to find out who had come to see her. She peeked around the corner, and there stood Mr. Fancy Chicken himself. She recognized him from the TV commercial. There he is. Little Purple, he said, I saw you outside the theater as you hurried past. I have a perfect part for you in my play. You have the most beautiful purple feathers that I have ever seen. Purple, I do. You was very. Little Purple was so excited. She started acting in the play that very next day. It was an important play too. Famous actors and actresses had flown in from all over the country. People, she'd even seen some of them on TV. And they all loved her feathers. There she is singing on stage. And of course, they found out that underneath all those feathers, she was really a very nice and friendly chicken. They started to ask her questions. They asked her, what's it like acting alongside such famous chickens? It must be lots of fun. And they started to get to know her. And that's when, of course, they found out that, getting to know her, they found out that underneath all those feathers, she was really a very nice and friendly. There she is, friends with everything. And after that, Little Purple became rather famous. And she never, ever tried to hide her beautiful purple feathers ever again.
So if you haven't heard how this all happened, the first week of school, I met Kelly. She came in with Kaya. And Kelly said, oh, I've written some kids' books before. And I said, great, you should come in and read them. Really? Yes, of course, you're an author. Kids would love to hear from you. And then she came in with the book and said, I don't have any illustrations for it yet. Do you think your kids would want to illustrate it? So then we started hatching a plan, and within 3 sessions we came up with the illustrations you see in the book. And the first session we just had kids draw what they think a chicken looks like, and we were going to try to hone in on one chicken to have some consistency throughout the book so that Little Purple would look the same, because when you have 24 first graders draw chickens, they all look different, which is fantastic, but then it might be confusing if you're reading the story and if Little Purple looks different on every page. So then we had this idea, we all know the turkey, the famous turkey with your hand. We just turned that on its side and made it look more like a chicken, and that became the basis for the body. And then we used painted paper, so we had a session of painting paper. Once that dried, we cut out, and then we kept it really simple. We didn't want to have a lot in the background. We wanted the chickens and the little details just to stand out. We didn't try to muddle the page with all that. So what's the essence of this illustration? And we looked at some authors and what they do for that. We looked at a lot of examples. And then they busted it out. It looks fantastic. So I'm curious if any of you have questions for the real illustrators. Maybe I'll kind of crouch down a little bit. Illustrators, if you want to turn to face the crowd. In illustrators, you can't actually see right now, but back in the corner, there's princesses here. They see 4, I think they're all princesses. Maybe they're... So, you're so famous, there's princesses coming. Does anyone have a question about the book, the illustrations, what we did, how we did it?
What was the most challenging part of illustrating your page?
So if you can think about it, if someone wants to answer it, you can raise your hand. Miles, take it.
I think it was making the canvas. It's hard to make canvas. You can't make them like they are today.
So Miles' illustration has a video camera in it. Anyone else? Most challenging part? Tika, you put your hand up. What was the most challenging part for you?
I say that there was no challenging parts.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Cole.
I would say the most challenging part, I
I'd say making the dots and the chicken sitting on a couch.
Question.
Were there any funny parts? I haven't seen the book yet. Are there any funny parts I should check out?
Not really. Yeah.
Oh, there's the few million washes.
Yeah.
So do you all know the lesson that you learned from the story that you guys illustrated?
Yeah.
Elena, what do you think the author's message is?
Just be yourself.
Someone have a different interpretation. What do you think the message is? What do you think, James?
Just don't touch other people
Kaylee, what do you think the lesson is?
Doesn't matter what you look like on the outside, matters what you look in the inside.
Nice.
Don't try to hide your differences. Differences are good.
Cole?
Just be yourself. It doesn't matter what you look like. Just be yourself.
Is that kind of the essence of what you're learning? So,
Wow.